Chelsea and United were the two main ones. So to go to a rival, it wasn't, it's hard to kind of get past that. So I can understand why people don't like him. I think that's fair enough.
On the talking point, Torres, because he was obviously one of the star attractions, there's a lot of debate after the game about his reception, because Theo and I were both there, and we've seen that every shot, every touch was celebrated like a goal itself. But
even in the warm-up, every goal he scored in the warm-up was getting cheered loudly.
And the talking point on social media was, should he be celebrated as much as he was after that unceremonious exit? Was it 12, 13 years ago? What's your take on it? Should he be lauded as this saviour, or as El Nino, or should he be... Put you on the spot of it here, but what do you think on Torres?
I don't know. It's a difficult one, because I remember a time when he left, and
how old were you when he left?
I would have been 12.
So he proper broke your heart.
I was very upset about it at the time. Yeah. No, it was 2011.
Yeah, January 2011.
13.
Makes all the difference.
Yeah. But, I was very disappointed when he went, and especially to Chelsea because of the rivalry at that time as well. And I don't know, it didn't ever seem right him going there. When I remember his first few weeks there, when he really struggled, and the whole thing.
It's just first few months.
Yeah,
just the entire 2-3 year period.
Yeah, and I just remember there was that ill feeling for quite a while, and I remember that game. I think it was the first game Liverpool played, and Daniel Agger just absolutely went for him with the elbow, and a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah," celebrating that at the time, because they were like, "Yeah, he deserved it," kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, that did kind of ruin the reputation a little bit. I mean, if it had been going to back to Spain or something, I think it would have been a lot different. But the fact it was Chelsea, I think, outside of United, it's probably the worst team. You can go, obviously, Everton as well, but not many players doing that.
Plus, many years after or before that, there was the Champions League sort of showdowns, wasn't it? So that rivalry sort of built up a long time, and especially with Mourinho in Cardiff, wasn't it, where he ran down the touchline? Yeah,
and City weren't really that much of a rival then. So Chelsea and United were the two main ones. So to go to a rival, it wasn't, it's hard to kind of get past that. So I can understand why people don't like him. I think that's fair enough. But I also can get why people like him as well, because he was a great player at Liverpool. So it's just a case of if you want to hold the grudge or not. I must admit, I do prefer Suarez to him. I know Suarez was very controversial as well, but
that's your age, though, I think.
Yeah, but no, I grew up watching Torres, and he was my favourite player. But I just
but I mean, it breaks your heart a bit more when you're that bit younger. So Torres going the way he did, probably my example would be more Owen going the way he did, and then going to Manchester United, because obviously I'm a few years older. With Torres, I've forgiven him now. After the game, when I got home, I did message my mum going, "Do you still have my old Fernando Torres shirt?" Because I remember I just chucked it at my brother when he left, when I came back from uni, just to see if it's still around. It's an interesting one with Fernando Torres, because he was so good for 2.5 years. He was the best striker in the world for me. He just didn't win anything for Liverpool, and then he went to Chelsea in those really unsavoury circumstances. He won trophies with them, and he won them at Liverpool's expense. And it was at a time when Liverpool were in a really poor state, when you think the takeover had only just happened a couple of months earlier. They were trying to get rid of players, make some money. Joe Cole was discarded pretty quickly, and he said to us in an interview only a couple of months ago, FSG just wanted him off the wage bill. You wanted these star players kept for the takeover so they could get more value for the club, but they wanted them off the wage bill so they could start from scratch and start with their younger model. And let's be honest, Torres was not the same player after the, let's say, 2010 World Cup, because he got injured there, having rushed back from injury with Liverpool during the months before, and he'd lost that sharpness. But because of everything Liverpool have achieved since he went, I think it's easier to forgive him. He was the star player in that team when it was better than it had been at the start of Rafa's reign, but he was still that one player you take out. If Liverpool hadn't won all these trophies over the last few years, and Mohamed Salah had gone in, 2020 to Man City, you'd hate him. There'd be that feeling there. But because Liverpool have, since Torres left, won the Premier League, won the Champions League, they've got a team now that isn't just one or two legends, it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 legends. you can just look back on those times a bit more fondly. The exception is Raheem Sterling, because he went to Man City. That one still stings, I think, with a lot of fans, and it will sting a lot more than Fernando Torres, even though he said in the past that he'd like to come back to Liverpool one day if it arose, and there have been suggestions that he's tried to look into it, and it's just not been reciprocated from Liverpool. But he was still a kid who didn't really achieve much for Liverpool before going, whereas Torres came and he enjoyed his absolute best years. Liverpool got a good fee for him when his legs were starting to go. In hindsight, it was perfect timing for Liverpool. They got those memories that Chelsea, they can say, oh, he got the goal against Barcelona and he got us to Champions League, but he was still a bit part player for them, an expensive flop. Liverpool got one of the best strikers in Europe, but one of the best strikers in the world, and he was just one of us at that time, wasn't he? Like the song, his arm improved, he was a red. We'll just overlook that horrible ending and say it's all forgiven now because he's come back and he's still a Liverpool legend. He's delighted to be scoring from again. He's delighted to be wearing that shirt again. Yeah, time sealed it now.
And Scott said in the comments he thought Torres played decent and just like the shooting boots in Spain. And
yeah,
you could see after the game in the press conference he was happy, and we were obviously keeping on top of Ajax's social media as well, wasn't we? And there's a clip that we couldn't see without NordVPN, as it was geo-blocked, but thanks to our sponsors, that allowed us to see the clip, didn't it, Theo? So it's yeah. So we were there and we seen how happy he was, and he was saying how much he sort of missed being at Liverpool, and it sort of encapsulated that, didn't it? And the clamour was very much still there for him.
Yeah, if Liverpool had been in a much better position when he left, then I don't think he'd have left. It was just he wanted to win trophies. He'd left his club, Atletico Madrid, to come to Liverpool thinking he could win the Champions League, the Premier League, and then that rug was pulled out from underneath his feet and he had to go elsewhere to do it. And it was never the same for him. He never had that same relationship, but you can see why everyone was excited to see him back. He was the star attraction. Like, Gerrard's come back and done these games a few times now, so the magic's not worn off, but it's not quite the same as, oh, we're seeing Steven Gerrard again. Maybe it will be when it's like the last couple of times Gerrard's playing, which he alluded to. But to see Fernando Torres after all these years, it warms the heart.